Welcome back to UAP Rant, episode 21 in the series. For those that have been listening, the past few podcasts we've been trying to relate the five observables of UAP kinematics to some of the theories around scalar time and interdimensional anomalies, and that was linked back to Maxwell's work. Its modification by Heaviside into vector calculus. It's linked to the Lorentz equations and Einstein's space-time for special relativity. So we were looking at how unexplainable the five observables are, and then alluding to the fact that if you considered time as scalar, that the five observables become more understandable. As for example, instantaneous acceleration and direction changes, because UAP they change direction and accelerate in ways that require an immense amount of energy to violate inertia in conventional physics. So we were saying that they might move through hyperspace and being in a controlled way, manipulating three-dimensional space-time, and the way to consider that was that if time was scalar in Maxwell's quaternion equation, then they are doing that through the fourth dimension and disappearing and reappearing in space-time in our three-dimensional space, creating local distortions in a field, an energy field in four-dimensional space that we could consider to be electric, and having energy available to harness to achieve that using some sort of technology. So just a few more notes on the five observables. So if you think about sudden appearance and disappearance, we can consider them to enter our space-time through a higher dimensional portal or wormhole that is localized. Now, whether an object creates that themselves, or they are utilizing some sort of field where there's an accumulation of a temporal anomaly, I'm not quite sure. But another one of the five observables is related to shape shifting and luminosity. For example, our orbs and light rods, they could represent some sort of emission or projection from higher dimensional travel. And in a previous podcast, we did talk about how they might be shadows that we're observing in some sort of temporal anomaly and representative of something on the other side, or an object that we cannot fully identify and understand. And their change in appearance might correspond to energy fluctuations or transitions between dimensions, essentially like a looking glass effect. So we're observing the manifestation of some sort of, what would you call, like a silhouette of whatever's on the other side, and the perception of time as in an object might be from the future or the past is purely because within that temporal anomaly. And in fact, if you consider time as scalar, it's probably not the past or the future at all. They're just in some other place, in some other time, simultaneously. And through this lens, or this temporal anomaly, we are watching the other side of that as it passes through our physical dimension. There's also craft, material and structure, and early on in the podcast series we talked about orbs and rods and how craft are able to harness available energy, and they may not be generating it themselves, they may be harnessing it from available energy. And we talked a lot about Maxwell's electromagnetic atom and four-dimensional scalar spaces being electric, and having all that energy available through spin and angular momentum from atomic particles to planets, solar systems, entire galaxies, that this energy permeates everything and is everywhere all the time. So if you had materials or technology on UAP that could exploit higher dimensional physics, it would appear as extraterrestrial, foreign or alien to us. Metamaterials, for example, structures that can manipulate light and energy And in earlier podcasts and in some of our research papers, we do talk about metamaterials or electrospun nanomaterials as being a composite of perhaps some sort of metallurgy and biologic, and in terms of biotechnology, that enables the craft to be able to alter its structure in space and time because of what the outer skin is made of, which gives it a link between its kinematics and harnessing available energy to achieve the observables that we see in our physical space. And that's related back to energy fields, of course, because UAP are exhibiting energy fields that seem impervious to conventional forces, consistent with hyperspace shielding or space-time manipulation. And in our Orb and Rod papers, we talk a lot about that too, because it appears that there's these counter-rotating bisected rings around some orbs and spindles around some rods that seem to have something to do with harnessing available energy or energy coupling and energy cascades. So I can point you to our papers on ResearchGate for that. I'll leave it at that for now. Next podcast we'll continue with the 5 observables and then loop back again to our research in the field and some of the observations we've been making in more detail.